Hi guys, and welcome back to World of Tanks, and today I'm going to be looking at this, which is the Iron Rain Borsig. Now it's almost identical to the regular Tech Tree Borsig with a 128mm gun. Obviously on the Tech Tree one you can have the 150, is it 152 or 155? Well, this has got the 128, but there is one main difference. This is a 3-shot autoloader, so yeah, 490 damage average per shot, and you get 3 of them in a clip, but then you do have a 41-second reload. Can't put a gun rammer on it, but with my crew that I've got in here, this is actually my account. I bought this myself. This is my regular Borsig crew, and with Brothers in Arms on it, it brings it down to about 38.4 seconds. So you know, with chocolate on there as well, you could get that down that little bit more. But there are some other differences. It's a bit of an odd one, actually, in a few different ways. So, obviously, 3-shot autoloader, which is your sort of main difference. But there are other differences. It has a slightly smaller engine than the Tech Tree Borsig, but manages to have a slightly higher power-to-weight ratio, which is a bit odd. It has less hull traverse. I think the Tech Tree one gets 38. This gets 32 degrees on the hull traverse, when I can find it, because I've lost it, and yep, it does. So it gets less on the hull, but it gets 2 degrees more on the turret traverse at 22 as opposed to 20 on the Tech Tree Borsig. So yeah, a couple of little odd things there. The power to weight ratio I don't quite understand, because I can't see anything that's missing off it, and a couple of people have said that really they could have possibly like modelled some sort of auto-loading mechanism on the gun, or at least giving it some sort of cover or shroud over the top of the turret, just to, hide the fact that they haven't modelled an autoloader onto it. But other than that, the skin looks quite nice, and but yeah, it's a Borsig. There's not a great deal to say about it. I've basically told you the differences. Its power to weight ratio is 10.14 as opposed to like 9.98, so not a great deal of difference in it. The engine does have a higher fire chance at 20% as opposed to 15, because it's a different engine. But yeah, apart from that, the main thing is the gun, and even the gun is almost identical. A slightly longer aiming time, I think it is, and slightly worse accuracy than the 128 on the regular Borsig. But don't forget, this is obviously an autoloader, so your rate of fire rounds per minute is less. But this has, approximately or just under 1,500 average damage in about 6 seconds. That's the kind of potential it can have. I'm not saying you have to fire all your rounds off all the time, but that's its potential. If something pops around a corner and surprises you, you can do a lot of damage in a very, very short period of time. But as I said, 41 seconds to wait. It does have a slightly lower view range as well, at 360 meters. As opposed to a fully upgraded Borsig, which is, I think, 380. No, 370. There you go. So, yeah, slightly more. It also does carry 12 extra rounds of ammunition as well, which, again, yeah, 12 more rounds. So, there you go. But apart from that, like I say, they're the differences. There's not much else to say about it, to be honest. The armour's the same, 20mm is your maximum, so there's not really much point looking at the armour values, because, well, it's a Borsig, you hit it, you're going to pen it. Unless you're very, very unlucky and it gets eaten by its tracks. And, yeah, that's really it. They are the differences: the hull traverse, the power to weight ratio, the turret traverse, and the auto-loading gun. They're your main differences, well, and 10 less meters on your view range. So how does it work out? There's been a lot of, I'd say, hype about it, I suppose. The fact that it's an auto-loading Borsig. The tank itself is not overpowered. It's not an easy tank to use. I'm not trying to hype this thing up unnecessarily. It's not going to be for everybody. Don't just get excited and think, auto-loading Borsig, I want it, I want it, I want it. It is not going to be for everybody. It's still not an easy tank to use, or it's not going to be an easy tank to use for some people, because it's such a glass cannon. It has no armour, so it is not going to be for everybody. I'm not a TD expert, as I've said many times. I do enjoy going in the TDs. I put a Borsig game up yesterday, I think it was, where I got about 5,000 damage. That is far from the norm for me in the Borsig. But even in this, even in a sort of an average game or a poor map or poor matchmaking, I'm averaging 2,500 to 3,000 damage without really doing a great deal. and that's because of that damage potential. I mean, sometimes, you know, a tank might just pop out, you get a couple of shots into it, nearly 1,000 damage. There, just, you know, boom, and then boom, and that's it, 1,000 damage if you hit both of them, and you've still got another shot left. So, you know, it does have that potential, and I think Jack the Ripper tweeted that this is possibly the best premium they've done for a while. But yeah, the tank, like as I said, the tank's not OP. It could be argued that the gun itself is OP, and seeing as that is basically all the tank is, it's a gun with a means of carrying it around the field. I don't know. There is that argument, but as I say, I think it's one of those things that it's going to be overpowered in the right hands, possibly. I'm not saying they're not my hands, but yeah, it is going to be probably overpowered in the right hands. But it's the gun, you know, and it is a great gun, and it is good fun, and it's definitely capable of some very, very high damage games. I haven't yet. Some people have not, you know, I've seen a couple of people who think have picked one up and they're just not having much fun with it or not having much luck. As I say, I'm doing okay in it. Skill-wise, I mean, you can see that's my regular Borsig crew. I am going to put Muffled Shot on it. I am going to put maybe Silent Driving on it, but yeah, Muffled Shot is definitely going on there, and probably a couple of others. I've got Snapshot training up there at the moment because that's a skill. Muffled Shot is a perk. The difference between skills and perks is a skill becomes more effective as you're training it, and as long as you are training it, it does have an effect. Perks, which are the ones with the lightning bolts, they are only effective once 100% trained. So my advice, what I normally do, is train up a perk and then swap it. Train up a skill and then swap it for the perk that I want, and then train up that skill again and do it that way, because at least you're getting some benefit out of whatever you're training. So, something else that makes this a little unusual, which I think is a little bit cheeky actually, it's a premium, it's got a skin on it, so you would expect it to have a slightly higher concealment factor to account for that, and it doesn't. And I was like, okay, why does it not have a higher concealment factor? And it's because you have to put clear camo on it, which I think is a little bit cheeky. I really do. All the other tanks like this that are skinned, as I say, have that increased camo rating to account for not being able to put camouflage on it. This is cheeky. I don't like this. If it didn't have as much of a sort of complete covering of the skin, and you could put some of the other camos on it, a bit like you can with the Minuteman. The Minuteman, you know, it has got that whole skin on it, but you can put the camos on top of that and whatever. You know, that's a little bit different. But with this, where the only thing they've allowed you to do is put clear camo on it, I think that's a bit cheeky. And I can't help but feel that Wargaming are maybe trying to coax more gold out of people that buy this by... You know, you buy the tank, you find out that it doesn't have that increased camo rating, you're going to have to put camo on it. It's got to be the clear camo, so you have no indicator when it's going to end. Are people just going to pay another 800 gold to perma camo it? Is that what they're trying to do? I really don't know, but I think it's cheeky. I think that needs changing. I think it needs its camo factor buffing to account for it, and get rid of being able to put clear camo on it. I just don't like that, and I can't help but feel it's to try and trick more gold out of people. And that's, you know, that's how I see it. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I just hope I am wrong. But you can also put inscriptions on it. It does say Eisenregen on the side, which is Iron Rain in German, which is where your inscriptions would normally go on a Borsig. On here they have changed. It'll just show you, look, you've got your front upper glacis and also the front of your gun shield. So again, a little bit unusually, you can still put inscriptions on even though it's got them, and you can still put your emblems on either side. So yeah, a couple of extra little unusual features on there. Everything else is the same. I mean, I can go into the modules, but it's, you know, I've covered the engine. Everything else is in the same place. Ammo's in the same place. It's no bigger. They've not added any extra ammo racks in it. You've still got all the crew members in there. So, as I said, there's not a great deal to cover there. Armour, well, 20 mil is your top, and that's it basically. So, you know, it's not as though there's going to be any particular surprises in that respect either. So, again, doesn't really need covering. And everything else is the same as a regular Tech Tree Borsig. For those of you who have not been through it, as you can see there, your concealment is 4.0 stationary, 0.24 while moving. And I think about the only other thing to basically mention is its silver and XP bonus, which is a fairly standard tier 8 bonuses of 50% extra silver and 15% extra XP. And this thing can make silver quite nicely, actually, I have to admit. So yeah, that's it really. Not much else to say. I've given you the differences between this and a Tech Tree Borsig. And the only real main one that really seems to have any effect is the gun, and that's it. So let's just get into the gameplay and see how it actually handles. Right, so here we are for the two gameplay, well, for the gameplay portion of the video, should I say. This one's a tier 10 match. It was recorded on my PlayStation simply because I forgot to press record on my laptop like an idiot. So yeah, this one was recorded using the PlayStation system. This is a tier 10 match, and these two matches, they are both aces, but as I've said before, I don't put too much stock into day 1 aces, because it's, you know, the sort of ace level of XP that you need to get is just set by wargaming. Not, you know, everybody's not had a chance to get in the tank and play it and what have you, so I don't put a lot of stock in the day 1 ace medals. But anyway, they're both neither the best games I've had in it, nor are they the worst games I've had in it. I've tried to just pick a couple of average games. The next one is a bit higher damage than this one, but I decided to use a tier 10 just to show you what it's like in a tier 10. And I've heard a few people say about the accuracy of this thing. Personally, in my own experience, I've not really found the accuracy to be too much of an issue at all. I've had games, I mean, I can't remember which game it was. It may even be one of these, but I think something like I shot 9 rounds, hit 9 rounds, penned 9 rounds. So again, I've not had any real issues with the gun handling. And I do want to reiterate as well that, you know, because there has been quite a bit of hype about this tank, that it is not, you know, a wonder tank. It is not a tank that you're just going to get and jump in and have amazing games and do masses of damage and earn loads of silver and everything else. It's not a wonder tank. It is essentially just a Borsig at the end of the day, but with that autoloader. So if you like the Borsig, you're probably going to like this, but you probably are going to have to adjust your playstyle slightly. And if you like and you're used to autoloaders, you're possibly going to like this tank as well. As I said, I do like this tank. I played one game in it on the press account, and then I bought it on my account because, you know, I do like it, and it's really made me want to practice more in this and the Borsig and some other TDs as well. But, and again, you know, just a reiteration, it is not going to be for everyone. Now, I do like my autoloaders. I'm quite used to them. I've got the 5100 down the French heavy autoloading line. Slowly going through it because I'm not a huge fan of it now. I only had 2 rounds left in the clip because I took a shot at that other tank before. Maybe I should have reloaded before that, and if I did, I probably could have taken down that T57, but there you go. You know, it's just one of those things. But yeah, I am used to autoloaders. I've now got the T57 heavy, so I've been through the T69, T54A1, I've now got, like I say, the T57. I've got the 5100. I do like the Sommuar, the Nomad, whatever it is, tank. I've not got it myself, but I have played in it on the press account. I've also, well, I'm up to the tier, the AMX 1390, down the French light line as well. So I am kind of used to them. And the thing that you have to remember with autoloaders is that you can't just, you know, target a tank and then fire and keep your finger on the trigger and fire all your shots and hit that tank. It just doesn't happen. You still have to let it aim in fully after each shot with most autoloaders, unless you're close up. Now again, there are exceptions to that. You know, there are tanks that aim in really quickly that have got autoloaders, so you can just keep your finger on the trigger and chances are you're probably going to hit most of your shots. But most autoloaders, as I said, that is not the case. You've still got to let it aim in between shots. And again, I'm going to be perfectly honest, there's not been many opportunities that I've had in this to actually empty all 3 rounds into something. One of 2 things normally happens. They're normally either partially dead anyway, so 1 or 2 shots and they're done, Or it's a case of you might get a shot in and, you know, they've disappeared because you hit them as they're going past something. Or it might be a case of you get a shot in or 2 shots in and then they get taken down by everybody else, depends on what's there. So yeah, I've not had loads of opportunities for that, but again, I've used these because they were sort of pretty average games for me in it at least, and they should hopefully give you a bit of an idea. So there you go, not my highest damage in it, but it was, like as I said before, tier 10 round. It was a win, so I was quite happy with that one. And let's see what it came up as. So 2,929 damage, 600 assisted. I had no boost stops on there for money, so it earned, well, 99,000, let's say 100,000 silver essentially. So, you know, it can earn silver, and I did come top, which is nice. There you go, what was that? Is it 9 fired, 9 hit, and like 8 penned or something like that? So, as you can see, you know, I've not really had any issues with accuracy. It's not one of those tanks where I'm, you know, I'm thinking, oh, if I'd have been a normal one that I'd have hit. I've not really experienced any of that. But again, don't get me wrong, I have missed shots, so you know, it's not like a guided missile. You know, it's not anything laser guided or anything like that. So, but yeah, as I say, I know I feel like I'm repeating myself, and I probably am. But yeah, there's not a lot to say about it. It is a pretty basic concept. I think, as I mentioned in the garage, that does irritate me slightly about having to put clear camo on it. I do think that's cheeky, and I really think that they ought to maybe sort that out at least. But other than that, I mean, it's, as I said, the tank doesn't feel overpowered. The tank does kind of feel balanced. It's about the same speed as a regular Borsig. You know, there's not really any difference there. The traverses, yeah, it's 8 degrees slower on the turret. On the hull, but or is it 6 degrees slower on the hull? But you've got a couple of degrees extra on the turret. So again, it kind of balances out. And of course, it is just completely made of tin foil, so or aluminium foil. But so you know, you can get penned easy, but it is quite sneaky. And again, it's the gun that's dangerous on this. I think that's what it is. The gun kind of does feel a little bit overpowered, but all in all, it kind of feels balanced. But it can, yeah, it can give certain tier tanks a really bad day. I think I clipped a Tiger, a hammer, I think from full health, or just about full health, like a shade under, and I killed him with 1 clip. But again, you've got to let it aim in. I mean, there you can see, you know, I wasn't very successful against the Gorinich. He's in a good position. I didn't have much to shoot at, and I wasn't particularly successful for it. But now you've got that long reload. But I wanted to use this match. It is one of the higher damage games I've had in it, as I said. But I think that this one kind of shows you what it can be capable of with that sort of burst potential, and it is a very good late game finisher. But again, as I said, autoloaders are not going to be for everybody. Autoloaders are not easy tanks to use because of that massive long reload you have on a full clip, and it's a case of knowing when you want to reload. I mean, like then I've got 1 round left, do I use it, which I've decided to do, or did I hold off and go for reload and potentially take him down with that? But I decided to go for that 1 shot and use it, and then go for the reload. But I'm just keeping an eye on the map, and you can see I start to turn there because I've seen those heavies coming up behind me, and I'm just thinking, can they deal with that? I was looking at what was on the map, and it looked as though there was only really 1 heavy turnaround to deal with them, although some others may be coming back now. But yeah, late game finisher, that's what I was on about. Autoloaders are generally good late game finishers anyway, and by that I mean, if you come across a damaged tank, you may take a hit from them, but if you've been using your autoloader kind of properly, you've probably been sat back a bit more during the early part of the match, playing that supporting role. But then later on you might come across a tank and, you know, you might have 4 shots in your clip. Most of them have at least between, like, you know, most of them have between 4 and 6 generally. And again, there are exceptions, you know, that's not a rule, it's just a generalisation. And quite often later in the game you come across tanks you'll be able to kill with 1 to 2 shots maybe, and they might be able to get 1 shot off at you, but you know, you can get both of yours in there and take them down. Where's the Ice 3? Come on, reload, get the reload, there we go. And actually ammo racked him, I think, a little bit over what my standard shell damage is. But with this, I mean, a lot of autoloaders, they might do 300 or 320 per shot, and again, not always. I'm thinking more sort of tier 8s and things like that, because obviously I'm looking at this one, whereas this does 490 per shot. So, you know, you come across damaged tanks at the end of the game, and I've had that before in certain games where, you know, I've got my full 3 and a couple of tanks are coming up, and one of them pops around the corner and boom, managed to hit him and he's dead. Next one comes around the corner again, he was on low health, boom, dead. And that's what I like about autoloaders, because if it was in a regular Borsig, I'd have to wait for the reload before I could have taken him out, whereas in this, a couple of seconds and I'm ready to fire again. And just a sneaky little snapshot on the last guy that was there, I think. And that's the match for that one. So as I said, you know, hopefully that showed you that kind of damage potential and how it can be really useful for finishing off damaged tanks. Did come out of that with 4,000 damage, another ace, a sniper medal and a high caliber as well. And again, no boost stops there on the silver, and 132,000 silver. So, you know, as I said before, it can earn quite a nice amount of silver. And that's it really, the Iron Rain Borsig. So there you go. I kind of like it. It's not going to be for everybody. The gun is pretty dangerous though, so I am having fun in it. But that's it really. Well, I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you found it informative at least. And I shall be back with another video, hopefully tomorrow. But I do have to take the car for an MOT and to get my son's PlayStation fixed, which broke at the weekend. So fingers crossed I'll be able to get everything done in time and get back and get a video sorted. But until, anyway, if not, I'll be back on Friday. So until then, take care of then. I'll catch you next time. See you later.